From the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
A San Diego student is among the 176 people who were killed when a flight bound for Ukraine crashed in Iran. Good evening. I'm Steve Atkinson.
And I'm Kimberly Hunt in for Lindsay Pena. Sarah Sadat was a student at Alliant International University. And this video shows the crippled jet in flames, breaking apart and exploding. 10 News reporter Rachel Bianco is joining us from the campus with new information this evening. Rachel?
Kimberly, the school is still on winter break, but when the students return next week, they'll have to face the reality that a fellow classmate and friend is not coming back. Flags from around the world line the campus of Alliant International. They represent the diverse community of students here. Sarah Sadat was from Canada. She just turned 23. Next week, she would have started her second semester in the school's doctorate program. She was studying clinical psychology. Sarah was visiting family in Iran with her mom and sister. The flight bound for Ukraine crashed minutes after takeoff. All 176 passengers were killed, including Sarah's sister and mom. The university plans to have counselors here to help students deal with the loss.
The Alliant community is still processing the news, and many of us are still in shock. But overall, it's grief and sympathy for the family and friends of Sarah Sadat.
World leaders continue to say that Iran was likely responsible, even though the downing of the jet may not have been intentional. Meanwhile, the country is denying this video shows the moment of impact, a ground-based missile hitting a 737. Taken from a neighborhood where the Ukrainian jet was last tracked. The video appears to confirm what a U.S. source tells ABC News, that intelligence sources are confident an Iranian anti-aircraft missile hit that jetliner. Back at Alliant, the focus is on helping their students.
We're going to have on-site critical counseling support resources available here at our San Diego campus for our San Diego students. We also have counseling support resources available for students at all of our Alliant campuses.
And the school is planning some sort of a vigil or another way to honor the student, but details of that are still being worked out. Reporting live at Scripps Ranch, Rachel Bianco, 10 News.
Thank you, Rachel. And the pain of the sister's death is just sinking in. Sarah's sister's boyfriend spoke to reporters in Canada about the moment the heartbreaking news reached him.
When I Googled something like Ukraine Airlines crash or something like that, and I saw the flight number. That's when I lost it. As she taught me so many things. She taught me how to love, how to be able to connect with people.
Daniel Goads says that he and Sarah's sister, seen here, had been dating for 3 years. She was finishing her undergrad at the University of Alberta and applying for medical school. He was also very close with Sarah, who graduated in May before coming to San Diego. And now to Washington, where President Trump is delivering on his promise to impose sanctions on Iran. The move was announced this morning.
But as ABC's Mona Kassar Abdi reports, the sanctions come as the House delivers a sharp rebuke over the president's use of his military powers.
This morning, the Trump administration responding to Iran's retaliatory missile strike on U.S. forces in Iraq.
Today's sanctions are part of our commitment to stop the Iranian regime's global terrorist activities.
The president had promised the punishing sanctions on his address to the nation the day after the attack. Sanctions already touch every part of the Iranian economy, with Trump ramping up enforcement efforts last April to push Iran's oil exports, its economic lifeblood, down to zero.
The goal of our campaign is to deny the regime the resources to conduct its destructive foreign policy. We want Iran to simply behave like a normal nation. We believe the sanctions that we impose today further that strategic objective.
Following Iran's rocket attacks on those military bases in Iraq, the president has refrained from any immediate threats of military action against the Iranian regime. Democrats, however, are concerned about the president's lack of congressional involvement in matters involving Iran.
The president to say, I inform you by reading my tweets. No, that's not the relationship that our founders had in mind.
And on Thursday, the sharply divided House took a vote to limit the president's war-making powers.
The current resolution is adopted.
The non-binding resolution requires the president to get congressional approval for any future military action against Iran that lasts longer than 30 days. 3 Republicans supported the measure.
It is this body that needs to make that decision, and the United States Senate.
The White House calling the War Powers resolution, quote, ridiculous and completely misguided. In the briefing this morning, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo backed the president's claim that Iranian General Soleimani was plotting to blow up a U.S. embassy, a justification for his killing that some lawmakers claim was not mentioned in their intelligence briefings this week. Mona Kosarabdi, ABC News, Washington.
And 10 News broke the story of the local student who was killed in that Iran plane crash. To get real-time news on your smartphone or your tablet, download our free app. Just go to the App Store and search 10 News.
The articles of impeachment against President Trump will be sent to the Senate next week. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi made the announcement today. The move is a necessary step to hold a trial determining if President Trump will be removed from office. House impeachment managers will act as prosecutors in the case. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said he planned to move forward with the trial with no witnesses, despite Democratic objections.
We have the votes. Once the impeachment trial has begun, we'll get around to the discussion of witnesses.
McConnell insists on using the Clinton impeachment model. That would include opening arguments followed by written questions. Only after would the Senate decide if witnesses were needed.
I'm Derek Stahl in the 10 News Live Center with breaking news. The Highway Patrol is investigating a crash involving a motorcycle that could be a hit and run. Sky 10 was over the scene just a short time ago. This is over on the 8 East near where it meets up with the 15. Now, according to the Highway Patrol, the motorcyclist was taken to the hospital with unknown injuries. No lanes are blocked. You can see the motorcycle is down on the right shoulder there. We're told the rider had a bloody face, was barely moving. At this point, they're not sure if the rider was hit by another vehicle or ditched the bike because they were cut off. A witness told me that she has a picture of the suspect vehicle leaving the scene, but we're waiting at this point for the Highway Patrol to officially announce the vehicle description. I'm Derek Stahl, 10 News.
Derek, thank you. Your voice, your vote now. San Diegans are fired up about a new ad aiming to rally voters against a massive new housing project in the North County.
10 News reporter Cassie Carlisle spoke with supporters at the Newland Sierra development who claim the commercial is misleading.
Measure B, the Newland Sierra project, is a luxury development.
What I think is disingenuous is them making people feel fearful of what can happen in this development.
Friday morning, a group against new advertisements slamming Measure B spoke out.
Home ownership has become less of a reality for families like mine.
Cindy Lopez is a first-generation American elementary school teacher and new mom.
And even though she's a toddler, we're going to be expanding soon in the future, and we need that space, that affordable space to grow our family.
The county's existing general plan calls for 99 homes and up to 2 million square feet of commercial property with open space. This all located off of Deer Springs Road, north of Escondido. But the Newland Sierra ballot measure would change that.
Here's their final plan. You can see that there's about 2,100 homes. They're going to be everything from apartments to townhomes to individual homes, and you can see that it applies to a variety of income ranges.
But this line in a new advertisement has some up in arms.
Requires no affordable housing.
Newland Sierra recorded an agreement on its deed guaranteeing affordable housing, but in a statement released today by the law group against Measure B, states that agreement is nothing more than a distraction with no meaningful legal effect. The PR firm's lawyer for Yes on B said if they didn't follow through, any stakeholder like those who spoke out Friday could sue.
And we can help solve this housing crisis.
Cassie Carlisle, 10 News.
Voters will get the chance to cast their ballot on March 3rd.
Governor Gavin Newsom has announced the state's spending plan today, as well as some future programs.
The budget is not what, it's not why, it's a how document. It's the application and the implementation of our ideals.
And right now, the budget stands at over $222 billion with a multi-billion-dollar surplus. Today, the governor promised $20,000 stipends to teachers who make a four-year commitment to work in high-needs areas. The budget also gives full health benefits to those 65 and over living in the country illegally. Today was the first step in approving a spending plan for California. In May, Newsom will revise his plan once state officials have a better estimate of how much money the state will collect in taxes.
Today, Army water tankers were deployed to fire-ravaged towns across Australia. This comes ahead of wind changes, which could spark more fires. Since September, at least 18 million acres have burned. That's more than 8 times the area that burned in California in 2018, the state's most destructive year for wildfires. The fires down under have killed at least 27 people and destroyed almost 2,000 homes. Wildlife conservationists also estimate 1 billion animals are dead. Authorities in Puerto Rico are setting up makeshift shelters after Tuesday's 6.4 magnitude earthquake. Thousands of residents across the island are still without power and water. This is just one of those pop-up communities set up in a dusty baseball field. Authorities say unusual seismic activity and strong aftershocks have delayed the recovery efforts. The quake killed 1 person and injured 9 others.
Now to a developing story. Buckingham Palace is in emergency session days after Prince Harry and Meghan Markle announced that they are stepping back from their duties as royals.
As ABC's Trevor Ault explains, talks are now going on over the couple and what they can do while they're getting paid and under security from British taxpayers.
The royal crisis rumbles on in London after Prince Harry and wife Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, made their bombshell announcement they'd be stepping back from their roles in the monarchy, including splitting their time between England and North America. Queen Elizabeth is leading emergency discussions with Princes Charles and William in hopes of finding a workable solution. ABC News has learned Prince Harry defied a direct order from the Queen to keep discussions about revising the couple's royal roles private until the family had come to an agreement about the future, but neither William nor Charles were sent the couple's statement until 10 minutes before it was sent out to the entire world.
And that part of it was a shock to the Queen, the fact that they'd issued the statement without first clearing it with her when she'd expressly said, "I don't want this to go public."
In their announcement, Harry and Meghan say they intend to work to become financially independent while continuing to fully support the Queen, though it's still not clear what that specifically means or who will pay for the family's security, travel, and homes.
The British people will not like the fact that there are part-time royals living million-dollar lifestyles, trading from their royal name while still taking money from the public purse.
The Duke and Duchess have had a tumultuous relationship with the British press, and now the British public seem to have mixed feelings about the couple stepping away.
I think they've let the Queen down.
They have to do what's best for them.
Running a monarchy is expensive. Harry and Meghan's wedding cost an estimated $40 million, but it was watched by an estimated 2 billion people, and the royal family generates more than $2 billion a year in tourism revenue. Trevor Ault, ABC News, New York.
Legendary rock and roll drummer Neil Peart died Tuesday after a battle with brain cancer. Peart joined the band Rush back in 1974. With his powerful, precise drumming and memorable lyrics, he went on to sell millions of records with the group. The band announced their heartbreak on Twitter and say that condolences can be made to cancer research groups in Peart's name. Neil Peart was 67 years old and is survived by his wife and his daughter.